Daniel Matthews straightened his navy tie as the elevator climbed to the hotel lobby, his silver-streaked hair perfectly styled. At 46, he still carried himself with confidence. Beside him stood Natalie, 29 years old, her wavy brown hair cascading over the shoulders of her deep red dress. She laughed at something on her phone, carefree and young. "The Riverside Manor," she said, eyes bright. "You really know how to treat a girl." Daniel smiled, that practiced smile he'd perfected over 8 months of their affair. Nothing but the best. The elevator doors opened to reveal the magnificent lobby. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above cream-colored marble floors. Fresh roses filled golden vases, their perfume mixing with the scent of luxury. Daniel had celebrated countless moments here over 2 decades of marriage, anniversaries, promotions, special occasions. The Riverside Manor was woven into his history. But something felt different today. As they approached the reception desk, Daniel noticed the staff wore new uniforms, elegant forest green suits with gold accents instead of the traditional black. The young receptionist smiled professionally, her dark hair pulled into a neat bun. "Good afternoon," Daniel said smoothly. "Checking in. Reservation under Matthews." The receptionist's fingers danced across her keyboard. "Yes, Mr. Matthews. The executive suite for 2 nights." She glanced at her screen, then looked past him toward the grand staircase. "One moment, please." Daniel turned to follow her gaze. That's when time seemed to stop. Catherine Matthews descended the marble staircase with quiet grace. At 48, she moved with a confidence that took his breath away. Her dark hair was swept up elegantly, and she wore a tailored navy suit that spoke of authority. Her heels clicked softly against the marble as she approached. Their eyes met across the lobby. There was no surprise in her expression, no shock, only calm certainty that made Daniel's heart hammer against his ribs. "Catherine," he whispered, though she couldn't hear him yet. Natalie turned from admiring the flowers. "Daniel, what's wrong?" "You've gone pale." Catherine reached them, her steps measured and deliberate. "Hello, Daniel," she said, her voice steady. She glanced briefly at Natalie before returning her attention to her husband. "Welcome to the Riverside Manor, or perhaps I should say, welcome to my hotel." The words hung in the perfumed air. Daniel's mouth opened, but no sound emerged. His mind raced. Her hotel. The Riverside Manor had belonged to the Wellington family for 30 years. He'd met old Mr. Wellington himself. "Your hotel?" he finally managed. Catherine's smile didn't reach her eyes. "The Wellington sold 6 months ago. I needed a new purpose after you filed those divorce papers. Life has an interesting sense of timing, doesn't it?" Natalie stepped closer to Daniel, understanding dawning on her face. "This is your wife?" "Yes," Catherine said, extending her hand with surprising grace. "Catherine Matthews, soon to be Catherine Wells again, my maiden name, once everything is finalized. And you must be the reason my husband of 22 years suddenly needed his freedom." Natalie didn't take the offered hand. She turned to Daniel, her voice rising. "You said you were divorced. You promised it was over." "The papers are filed," Daniel said weakly. "Filed 1 month ago," Catherine corrected gently. "After I discovered everything 7 months ago. After I gave you chances to come home. After I realized you'd made your choice." The receptionist cleared her throat softly. "Mrs. Matthews, should I cancel this reservation?" Catherine considered for a long moment, her gaze never leaving Daniel's face. "No, they've booked it. They've paid. Let them have their weekend." She turned to address them both. "The executive suite on the 8th floor? I renovated it myself last month. I hope you find it comfortable." With that, she walked away, her heels marking time against the marble, heading toward an office marked Owner and Management. She didn't look back. Daniel stood frozen, his carefully planned weekend crumbling like sand. Natalie grabbed her purse. "I'm leaving. Don't call me. Don't text. We're done, Daniel." "Natalie, please wait." But she was already gone, her red dress disappearing through the revolving doors. The receptionist held out the key cards. "Your room, Mr. Matthews." "Will you still be checking in?" Daniel looked at the plastic cards. He thought about his empty house. His daughter Emma at university, who hadn't called in weeks. His colleagues who whispered when he passed. The life he'd dismantled piece by piece. "No," he said quietly. "I won't." He walked out into the autumn afternoon, each step heavier than the last. In her office, Catherine sat at her mahogany desk and allowed herself one long, steadying breath. Her assistant, Sarah, appeared in the doorway. "Are you all right?" Sarah asked softly. Catherine straightened her shoulders. "I knew he'd bring her here eventually. The Riverside Manor was always special to us. It's where he proposed 23 years ago, in that restaurant upstairs by the window. That must have been painful to witness." Painful? Catherine touched the edge of her desk. The pain was the 7 months before today. Finding the truth. Realizing the man I'd built a life with had decided he needed to feel young again. She stood and walked to the window, looking out over the river. But buying this hotel? Taking control of my future? Standing here in a place that matters and making it mine? That isn't painful at all, Sarah smiled. "You're stronger than you know." "I'm learning," Catherine said, and meant it. Weeks turned into months. The Riverside Manor flourished under Catherine's care. She knew every staff member's name, their families, their dreams. She restored the hotel's elegance while adding warmth that had been missing. Guests began returning specifically because of the atmosphere she'd created. One December evening, as the first snow fell outside her window, Catherine's phone rang. It was Emma. "Mom, can we talk?" "Of course, sweetheart, always. I saw Dad today. He looks lost, Mom. Really lost." Catherine was quiet for a moment. "People have to find their own way back, Emma. I can't do that for him." "I know. I just wanted you to know I'm proud of you. What you've built, who you've become. You're inspiring." After they hung up, Catherine stood at her window watching snow dust the city. She thought about the woman she'd been a year ago, uncertain, hurt, questioning her worth. And she thought about who she was now, strong, purposeful, at peace. The journey hadn't been easy. There had been nights of tears, days of doubt, but she'd learned something precious, that endings could become beginnings, that loss could transform into growth, that she was enough all by herself. She'd learned that kindness to oneself was the greatest gift of all. Daniel eventually found his own path to healing, though it took time and honest reflection. Catherine moved forward, not with bitterness but with grace. And the Riverside Manor stood as a testament to the truth that sometimes the best revenge is living well, loving yourself, and building something beautiful from the ashes of what was lost. Some stories don't end with reconciliation. Some end with something better, self-discovery, dignity, and the quiet strength that comes from knowing your worth, and that, perhaps, is the kindest ending of all. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe for more stories about resilience, second chances, and the wisdom that comes with life's journey. Leave a comment below and share your own story of strength and renewal. Your voice matters, and your story might inspire someone who needs to hear it today.